The episode begins by introducing a widely known superstition that cherished objects harbor souls. Following this logic, discarded items in the trash must also house something. However, the true nature of this something remains a mystery to humanity. The scene cuts to a girl from a wealthy family. She looks at her beloved teddy bear, now torn, feeling deep sadness. Not knowing what to do, she looks at her mother, who suggests they throw the bear away and buy a new one. Without hesitation, the girl heads outside and tosses the bear into the trash along with several other bags of waste. Meanwhile, a security guard is patrolling a building when he suddenly hears a strange noise. Investigating, he finds a boy rummaging through the building's trash. Quickly, he pulls out his gun and points it at the boy, warning that the area requires authorized access. After analyzing the situation, the guard realizes that this boy is the infamous trash thief, a criminal known for making the city filthy with his illegal waste collection. Recognizing the threat, the security guard calls for backup, which arrives almost instantly. But the trash thief, with remarkable skill, escapes through a hidden passage. The guards chase after him, firing their weapons, but the boy dodges the bullets with ease and vanishes into the sewers. After escaping, the boy removes his hood, revealing his true identity. "I'm not the trash thief," he calmly states. The next day, a group of people discusses the previous day's events, linking Rudo, the boy chased by security, to the notorious trash thief. Meanwhile, Rudo finds himself in one of the dirtiest parts of the city when he overhears people talking about him. They believe he's the one responsible for what happened the day before. This frustrates the men around him as the pressure is mounting. They know the apostle might come after them soon. Suddenly, a girl named Chiwa approaches Rudo and begins scolding him. "What the hell are you doing digging through trash again? If you keep this up, you're going to get yourself into serious trouble," she warns. "Why do you keep scavenging the city's garbage?" Rudo responds, explaining that the rich throw away things that still have value, and he can't stand it. He also needs money to survive. These two reasons drive him to keep doing what he does, even though it might bring him trouble in the future. At that moment, a group of boys approaches, and one of them starts mocking Rudo. He makes fun of the fact that Rudo smells like trash and tells Chiwa to stay away from him if she doesn't want to smell like him too. The boy notices that Rudo is still wearing the same dirty gloves and mocks him further, saying touching those gloves is like asking for scabies. Another boy kicks an item that Rudo had repaired and laughs. Who in their right mind would buy something from the trash, especially if it's been fixed by someone like him wearing such filthy gloves? Seeing how the boys are treating Rudo, Chiwa steps in, telling them they aren't so different from him. She reminds them they don't have the right to judge him. The boy continues, telling them not to get involved with Rudo because he's the son of a maniac killer. One of the other boys explains that the place they live in, the slums, was originally created to imprison criminals. They, the young people there, are descendants of the prisoners who were held there in the past. Therefore, they have to work twice as hard to earn some dignity in society. But all the effort they had put in up until now would have been ruined by Rudo's father, who, for some reason, went around killing people. Hearing this, Rudo finally reacts to the boys' insults, glaring at them with an intense, unsettling look. The boys, now intimidated, decide to leave, thinking Rudo is just like his father. Chiwa, noticing this, tries to reassure Rudo, telling him he'll never be like his father in the future. Rudo, feeling a bit embarrassed, thanks her for believing in him. Suddenly, Chiwa finds the teddy bear that Rudo had repaired, buried in the trash, and shows interest in it. Rudo, a little shy but determined, decides to give it to her as a gift. But before he can do so, Chiwa's mother approaches and calls her to go home. As they prepare to leave, Chiwa's mother scolds her for associating with people like Rudo. Rudo then goes back home to live with his friend, Regto. Once home, Regto teases Rudo, mocking him for trying to give the teddy bear to Chiwa. Rudo turns red with embarrassment. Regto advises him to be more direct about what he wants to say. He then shifts the conversation to Rudo's late-night trips to scavenge for trash. Regto makes it clear that Rudo doesn't have to keep rummaging through trash to make a living. After all, Regto is willing to support him while he's still a kid. Even though they aren't related by blood, Regto considers Rudo as part of his family. He tells Rudo not to worry too much about working, but hearing this, Rudo remembers how Regto took him in when his biological parents abandoned him as a baby. For that reason, Rudo wants to repay Regto for everything he's done for him. To do that, he feels he must work as well. Suddenly, Regto notices a wound on Rudo's arm, and after examining it, realizes Rudo got shot, though just a graze. He insists that Rudo stop going to the dumps, as things could spiral out of control. If he's not careful, the next time he could end up in a much worse situation. Rudo pulls off his gloves, saying the shot is nothing compared to the scars on his hands, scars caused by his father. Having dealt with this kind of issue since childhood, Rudo's mind has never been at peace. When Regto realized what was bothering Rudo, he decided to give him a pair of gloves, which Rudo still wears today, even though they are worn out. Shifting the topic, Regto mentions Chiwa and advises Rudo to confess his feelings to her. If he doesn't act fast, someone else quicker than him might steal her away. The boy isn't happy at all with what Regto said, and simply brushes him off. The next day, Rudo walks through the junkyard again, explaining that this place, also known as the Abyss, is the most notorious haven for criminals. It's where everyone who commits a crime ends up, thrown away like trash. Suddenly, as Rudo witnesses another person being condemned to the Abyss, he's caught off guard by Chiwa, who immediately notices the overwhelming filth surrounding them. However, Rudo reminds her that this mess stretches all across the slums. After all, the place was built and oriented towards the city to show just how bad the slums are. This was done to deter people from falling into crime and ending up in the slums. But beyond that, Chiwa complains about how they expose the executions of prisoners. She asks Rudo never to do something that would get him thrown into the abyss and executed in the same manner. She advises him again not to take unnecessary risks to avoid getting caught by the authorities. Hearing this, Rudo mentions that Regto gave him the same advice. Chiwa responds, saying that Regto must really care about him. This makes Rudo realize a little more about what she really thinks of him. However, Chiwa starts blushing and tries to explain herself better. Seeing an opportunity, Rudo gathers his courage and gives her the teddy bear as a gift, saying that the toy will be much happier with her than being discarded in the trash. Chiwa takes the teddy bear from his hands, promising that she will take care of it forever. Rudo, now feeling a rush of embarrassment, quickly runs off. But just as he's about to get away, he bumps into a group of apostles. They immediately ignore him and continue on their way. Rudo, confused by the apostles' presence in the slums, gets up and starts running towards Hagot to tell him that he managed to give the teddy bear to Chiwa. But when he opens the door, he comes face to face with a strange creature on top of Regto, the same one he saw the other day. However, this time, it's killing his friend. Rudo tries to attack the masked man but is quickly subdued and thrown aside with a single punch, knocking him unconscious. When Rudo wakes up, he sees the mysterious man picking up a notebook from the floor and slowly heading toward the door to leave the house. Seeing this, Rudo curses the masked man, but finds himself unable to take any action, as he too was attacked. He then orders the masked figure to go back inside the house so they can finish resolving the issue. However, the man ignores him and leaves the place. Regto calls out to Rudo, telling him that he needs to find a way to change the broken world they live in. But shortly after saying those words, Regto loses his strength and dies in Rudo's arms. Then, the apostles invade the house and arrest Rudo, accusing him of being responsible for Regto's death. As they get the wrong idea, Rudo tries to explain what happened, insisting he wasn't the one responsible for the murder. One of the apostles gets even more frustrated and makes it clear that Rudo won't escape being thrown into the dungeon by simply lying. Later that afternoon, the local residents find out about the supposed murder committed by Rudo, and they immediately buy into the story without even hearing his side. Rudo is condemned to death for killing Regto. As the sentence is announced, everyone around him begins celebrating, shouting for him to be thrown straight into the abyss of the junkyard. Rudo is left confused about the fate awaiting him, especially when he realizes that, despite not having done anything, the crowd is cheering for his death. Suddenly, he spots Chiwa in the crowd and pleads for her to find the real killer of Regto. But Chiwa turns her back on him, expressing her disappointment. She thought he was different from his father. In that moment, Rudo is consumed by despair and accepts his fate. But then he spots Regto's real killer right in front of him in the middle of the crowd. Before he can say anything to the man, he's suddenly thrown into the abyss. During the fall, Rudo promises that he will send all of humanity to hell for what they've made him go through, but then he hits the ground and loses consciousness. When Rudo wakes up after the fall, he's confused by his surroundings. Then it hits him. He's been thrown into the abyss after being sentenced to death. Suddenly, he hears a noise coming from behind. When he turns around, he comes face to face with a gigantic monster made entirely of the trash around him. My friends, the girl just threw away the stuffed animal the protagonist gave her. And that's where the video ends. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching. See you next time.